we've got Beetlejuice, we've got Bull Durham, we've got Rain Man, we've got They Live, we've got License to Drive. Just some of the really cool movies that came out in 1988. But did any of these make my top five? Did they make my top 10? Are any of these my number one movie of 1988? Stay tuned and I will give you my personal top 10 movies of 1988. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for checking out the video. Today, like I said, I'm going to go over my top 10 movies of 1988. So we have made our way through the middle and working towards the late 80s here, and we have come up to 1988. A really cool year for movies. A lot of good stuff, a lot to pick from. Hard to narrow down to just 10 movies, but I did narrow it down to 10 movies. Some of these are probably definitely not going to be on a lot of y'all's lists. But they're on my personal list. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into number 10. All right, so for number 10, this movie is definitely probably one that's not on a lot of people's lists, although it might be. I don't want to judge, but yeah, this is one of those movies. It's kind of campy. It's probably not the greatest. A lot of critics probably did not give it great, amazing reviews. In fact, it was the 130th top grossing movie of 1988. So 129 other movies did better at the box office than this one did. And this came out on September 30th, 1988. And I am talking about Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Like I said, this is probably not going to be on everybody's list, or even most people's list, maybe. But I don't know what it was. I always just loved that kind of campiness that was an Elvira anything, really. And this was just kind of one of those that I always enjoyed watching. You definitely can't take it seriously. You kind of have to turn your brain off for sure when you watch this one if you haven't seen it. But it's just a cool movie. I always enjoyed it. This is the Arrow Video release of it. So there's a main special features, of course, included. So yeah, my number 10 movie of 1988 is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Moving right along to number 9. The funny thing about this movie is, for number 9, I actually saw this in theaters. So in 1988, well, let's see when this came out. So I had just turned 11 years old. I saw this with a group of friends in theaters, and I hated the movie. I thought it was the worst thing ever. But I rewatched it later on when I became more mature, and I actually enjoyed it. This is the first one. There are two. There is a sequel. This was the 21st highest grossing movie of 1988, and it came out on August 12th of 1988. And I am talking about Young Guns. Like I said, hated this when I first saw it as a kid. Came back, really enjoyed it. Just a really cool movie about Billy the Kid. To be honest, I'm still not sure about Emilio Estevez as Billy the Kid, but you know what? I enjoyed the movie, so I just looked past that. But yeah, really cool cast on this. You got Emilio Estevez, obviously, Kiefer Sutherland, Lou Diamond Phillips, Charlie Sheen, and Dermot Mulroney. Don't really remember him too much about this one, but yeah, it's definitely a really cool cast, really cool movie. You got Billy the Kid, you got a Western, Wild West kind of deal. Always a cool watch. So yeah, that is going to be my number 9 movie of 1988 is Young Guns. All right, on to number 8. Number 8 is actually going to be the only sequel that appears on my top 10 list. This movie came out on May 25th, 1988. It was the 5th highest grossing movie of the year. I actually don't have a copy of this one, but I'm talking about Crocodile Dundee 2. It doesn't beat the original, I'll say that. But I really did enjoy it. I just loved Crocodile Dundee. It's just good, stupid fun, comedy, stuff like that. I mean, Paul Hogan pretty much made these movies and then nothing else that was really worth anything. Maybe Flipper, if you do enjoy Flipper. For some reason I have that, but not a huge fan of it. But yeah, Paul Hogan, just loved him as Crocodile Dundee. Definitely not. I do prefer the original, like I said, over this one, but definitely a cool watch. Changed it up a little bit, but still kind of the goofy, humor in this one. Another one that just, you can't take too seriously and, turn your brain off. You will enjoy it. So that is why Crocodile Dundee pops in at number 8. Crocodile Dundee 2 at number 8 on my top 10 movies of 1988. All right, coming in at number 7 is also another movie I don't have. I thought I did, at least on DVD, but for whatever reason, I do not have it, so I'll have to rectify that soon. This movie came out on February 26th of 1988, and it was the 80th highest grossing movie of the year, so this is another one that wasn't a huge box office success, but I think it had a better life when it came to video at the time, and then, later on DVD, all that good stuff. I'm talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport. Love this movie. Just a cool movie about, I had never heard of the Kumite or anything. And you got to think, too, if you're younger, this is basically just, a underground fight club before Fight Club. It was like a sanctioned, kind of unsanctioned, I guess, fight club kind of deal, tournament where you got fighters from all over the world that came together. And this is, pre-UFC type of thing. And it was I just enjoyed it. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme doing what he does best, not acting, but fighting people. Just a really cool movie. It's also got Ogre, Donald Gibb. Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds is in this one, and you gotta love having Ogre in anything, really. So Donald Gibb appears in this one. It's a really cool movie. Like I said, just the typical Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. You're not getting a lot of dialogue that's going to be impressive on this one, but you are going to get some, some really cool fight scenes, and that's what you get in this one. So yeah, that will be number 7 on my list of top 10 of 1988 is Bloodsport. All right, coming in at number 6, this movie came out on December 9th, 1988. I don't know why there was a long dramatic pause there. I lost it for a second. This was the 11th highest grossing movie of the year, which is impressive considering it came out December 9th of 1988. So obviously a lot of its run was probably into 1989. But this is Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. And of course, I'm talking about twins. Really love this movie. This is the peak Arnold. And it's weird because, I was talking with somebody about this the other day, and with Arnold movies, and this is really the first, because I think this came out before the Christmas movie, Jingle All the Way. This is really the first kind of movie where Arnold isn't really fighting at all. I think he does maybe a little bit if I remember correctly, but for 99% of this, he's not fighting anybody. He's not beating anyone up. Even in Kindergarten Cop, which I don't even know if it came out after or before this, at the beginning, he was still a cop fighting, so this was really the kind of the first. It was just like straight Arnold acting comedy kind of thing. And then you throw in Danny DeVito, and just like both of them together just did an amazing job on this one. It's a hilarious movie, really funny. Another one, it's just a common theme of on these movies, you have to turn your brain off. These aren't thinkers. Like, these aren't the critically acclaimed Oscar winners that you're like, wow, that was amazing dialogue and cinematography and the directing was... No. This is just me enjoying a movie. That's kind of how this list is going. You'll see later, too. But yeah, just love this movie. I always heard they were going to do a sequel. It was supposed to be some kind of triplets or something. I heard Eddie Murphy. I don't know if they're still making that or not, but this one is just always just a great movie. Love watching it, even though I haven't taken it out of the plastic yet. But yeah, Twins is number 6 on my top 10 movies of 1988. All right, we have finally made it into the top 5 movies of 1988. Before I get into my top 5, if you haven't already, let me invite you to subscribe to the channel. I try to put out a couple videos, movie-related videos, each week on various movie-related topics. And go ahead and like this video and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about some of my picks for my top 10. Almost no one ever comments on these videos. I'm going to keep saying it until someone does. So let me know what your top 10 is, or some of the movies you thought should have been included or excluded from my list for your personal top 10. Like I said, these are very subjective, and these top 10 lists, everybody's is going to be different. There may be some here and there that we agree on, but most people's are going to be different, and that's okay. So yeah, let's get back into the top 10. All right, so number 5 on my list of top 10 movies of 1988 is another one I don't have the copy of. I used to have it on 4K, but The Great Purge from last year, I do not have it anymore. Hopefully I'll get it back soon. This was the number one grossing movie of 1988. Let's see, can you guess what it is? It's the top grossing movie of 1988. What do you think the top grossing movie of 88 is? This came out on June 22nd, 1988. So that means that we're coming up on the 35th anniversary of this one, and from when I'm filming this in a couple weeks, and that is going to be Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Really cool movie. I hadn't personally seen anything like this kind of, at the time. You had the live action, you have the animated kind of together, and it just went together real seamlessly on this one. Plus, the story was just a really good story, so it kind of all worked out together. I love Christopher Lloyd, so him being the bad guy in this one is always a plus. But just, just the Roger Rabbit character was funny. Then, of course, you've got the girlfriend in that one. Her name is escaping me for some reason, probably because I'm old. But just kind of all the characters kind of worked together. It was definitely really cool the way they made that movie. I think it came together real well. It could have really gone the other direction. Like that could have been just a piece of turd, but it ended up being really good. So yeah, number 5 on my list of top 10 of 88 is going to be Who Framed Roger Rabbit. All right, continuing on, and it was Jessica Rabbit, by the way, I just remembered. Number 4 on my list. This is going to be one that spawned many, many sequels, and I didn't even grab it yet. Spawned many, many sequels, although I still think the original is the best. This movie came out on November 9th of 1988, and it was the 34th highest grossing movie of that year, and I am talking about the original Child's Play. This is the Chucky set, because I never did buy the 4K ones that came from Scream Factory. One of these days I will. But this is like I said, the Chucky 7 movie collection, even though it's called Child's Play. But yeah, the original Child's Play, really cool concept on that one. You've got the serial killer, and then somehow he knows voodoo. Once again, you really have to turn your brain off on this one. And he gets into the doll, and the doll is scary because, it's one of those you really enjoy watching, but if you think about it too much, you're like, why is everybody scared of a doll? Like, can't you just throw it literally clear across the room? But if you don't think about those things, it's just a cool, really creepy kind of, weird horror movie. Obviously, you've got the doll. Oh, the doll's not possessed. You people are crazy. And then the doll kills folks. So yeah, always a good watch. And then obviously it spawned a whole bunch of sequels after that and a remake. So yeah, Child's Play is number 4 on my top 10 of 1988. All right, we have made it to the top 3. So number 3 is another one I don't have a copy of, which is shocking. I could have swore I had a copy of this. I think somebody just swiped it out of my collection. I don't know. I'm going to have to start locking the door. But I don't have a copy of this one, but I will be getting one soon. So number 3 on my list was the 4th. So number 3 was the 4th highest grossing movie of 1988. This one came out on June 3rd of 1988. And I'm talking about Tom Hanks in Big. This is one of those movies that probably wouldn't get made today because, he's technically, 10, 11, something, 10 to 12 years old. And then he has the relationship with the woman, and that would be kind of weird. But back in the 80s, when weird was just allowed and readily accepted, we enjoyed this kind of movie. So this was always a fun one for me. I don't think anybody really that I can think of other than Tom Hanks would have done, especially at that time, would have done a good job as, obviously he was a grown adult, but playing the character as if he was still, 10, 11 years old. Like I said, I can't remember exactly how old he's supposed to be in that one, but as a child, basically, that he still has that childlike quality when he's doing the movie, playing the character, and it comes across that childlike quality without looking like it's really, fake, I guess, is the only word I can think of. So always love this one. You've got the cool Zoltar, thing, which I've seen randomly at other places. Unfortunately, the wishes I asked for have none of them have come true. Although I didn't really need to wish to be big. Obviously, that one's done. But yeah, just a fun movie. Gotta love that scene too with the giant piano that him and his boss in the movie is playing. There's just a cool scene there, but just an overall really good movie. So yeah, number 3 on my top movies of 1988 is going to be Big. All right, guys, we have made it to the top two. It's really hard when you're doing these videos and you get into the really the top kind of two or three, and it's almost like a mood. Like what mood am I in? Which one do I like more? But I stuck with this one for a while. My one and two, and I think it's pretty accurate. So number two for me for 1988, this movie was number two was the second highest grossing movie of 1988, so I guess it kind of worked out there. This movie was released on June 29th of 1988, and it is one of my favorites Eddie Murphy movies, and I'm talking about Coming to America. Love this movie. It's just hilarious. Just, the him and Arsenio Hall. Like, I mean, honestly, how many movies can you say, man, Arsenio Hall was really good in that? Not too many. At least for me, not too many. I don't know that he was in too many movies, but not too many. This one definitely. The fact that him and Eddie Murphy both played just multiple characters. Some you could blatantly tell it's them. Others, like when he's playing the Jewish guy, totally didn't realize it when I first saw it. Um, but like I said, just a hilarious movie. The sequel was just garbage, but this one, the original, you've got McDowell's. I mean, that alone was just hilarious. Just love that. The whole thing, the whole concept. James Earl Jones is in this one, obviously. I mean, come on, this is just one of the my favorite comedies ever. Eddie Murphy in his like prime, could do no wrong in movies kind of area time frame. And Coming to America, definitely one of my favorite comedies, and that is number two on my top 10 of 1988s. All right, guys, we have finally made it to number one, my top movie of 1988. Have you wondered? Have you guessed what it could be? Could you even remember movies that came out in 1988? You have no idea what this possibly could be. Well, I'm going to let you know right away. Okay, number one for me for 1988. This movie was the ninth highest grossing movie of the year, which is a little surprising for me. That is nine. I would have thought it would have been a little bit higher. This movie came out on July 15th, 1988. Another one that spawned many sequels, although this one was easily the best. I'm talking about Bruce Willis in Die Hard, A Christmas Story. Yes, that's right. A Christmas movie. Die Hard is totally a Christmas movie. And one of my I think this is probably my favorite action movie. It's really this and Terminator 2, I think. But I just love this movie. Such awesome and this is really when Bruce Willis became like a star. I think is in Die Hard. He had been on like Moonlighting, the TV show, but I think this is really his first big break as far as in movies and leading man kind of stuff. And he really nailed it with this one. Just an amazing movie. The whole concept of the movie. You got Bruce Willis as the kind of the reluctant, action star, and that's kind of I think what made it really cool too, because when you think of like the action stars of the '80s, the Jean-Claude Van Dammes or your Arnold Schwarzeneggers or anything, you've got these like big guys, or they're these like they know martial arts and can beat the hell out of 15 guys at once. You Steven Seagal's. Bruce Willis was really not that like he didn't come across like that. Like he was just a guy. He was just a guy who happened to be a cop, who happened to be in a building, who happened to get taken over by terrorists, and who happened to like do all this amazing stuff. So it wasn't like he didn't look like, oh my God, look at this guy coming. He's gonna take everybody down. It was kind of just an everyman kind of guy, and it just worked out perfectly. And then of course Alan Rickman as the bad guy, and this one I think that's kind of really his first big break into Hollywood too. Just awesome as Hans Gruber. I mean, just the two of them together just work perfectly. An amazing movie. Definitely one of my favorite action movies of all time. So my number one movie of 1988 is Die Hard, the original. All right, guys, that is going to do it for my top 10 of 1988. Like I said, leave me a comment down below. You probably won't, but I'm just going to keep saying it anyway. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of my movies or my picks for 1988. Like I said, definitely some on here that I left off. Like I said, the ones at the beginning, Beetlejuice, which probably a lot of people freak out. How can Beetlejuice not be in a top 10? I saw that recently for the first time. I thought it was okay, but just, I don't know, not in my top 10. Bull Durham, an amazing movie. That may have been 11 for me. Really like that one. Rain Man, I haven't seen Rain Man in forever, so that didn't make the list. They Live, I know a lot of people love They Live. I enjoyed it, but I guess I don't love it as much as other people do. So that didn't make the list. And then License to Drive is just a funny 80s comedy. The two Corys in that one, that's definitely a really good one too. The one that you can, I feel like I should go back to. I don't even know if they have on Blu-ray, at least not in the U.S. They really need to come out with the Blu-ray on that one, or even a 4K. I'm just saying. But yeah, definitely some cool movies that didn't make the list. Maybe they could have on another day, but alas, they did not make the list. And then there were obviously other movies in 1988 that were amazing that didn't make the list. But another great year for movies, 1988. But like I said, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about these. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.